ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य आणीस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Oh, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our true self-luminous, intrinsically blissful self in our heart. Let us concentrate on that luminous, blissful presence of the Self. As I concentrate on it, I see my whole being gets pervaded by that intense luminosity. Gone is the erroneous awareness that I am body. I am this blissful light. I have no birth, no death. I am ever present and everywhere. I am one without second. peace itself. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's discussion with our usual chant when it comes on the screen. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuvi grinanti te Bhurida janaha. So while studying this blessed life of Sri Ramakrishna, the God in human form, acting amongst us as a human, but really the divine presence internally, just to let us know, to teach us how to become happy in this world. The happiness that we are seeking is only in this knowledge that we are ever blissful. We can never get any happiness from outside as such, because we are that. It is sometimes this analogy is given that if an ocean has to take bath, where will an ocean be taking bath? It is water. It doesn't need to take a dip in a tub bath. It doesn't need a bathtub to go and dip itself. It is water. So just as we don't need to seek happiness somewhere, we are that. That is what Sri Ramakrishna is telling, that just get free. We seek freedom. Where do we find it? Well, yes, it is we are intrinsically free when we see that we are not this body, this mind, all the multiplicity disappears along with the limitations of time and space, and that is freedom. And this comes with knowledge, not by some extraneous things like taking a pill or something like that. That is not at all the way. That is the way to go to hospital and not to go to bliss. It is, yes, friends, I have experienced this with so many different people who come and tell me, Swami, that's a nice, easier way. Why spend time in meditating and all that? And it is so slow. When will it happen? We don't know. How long will we have to meditate? We don't know. Instead, and take that and you go on a high. You experience the freedom from all limitations. No, friends, it is becoming illumined is not becoming dull. The two things are completely different. It is Sri Ramakrishna is showing the way to feel one's true, real nature, experience it, and thus, with that knowledge, experience the freedom, the intrinsic limitlessness, the intrinsic bliss that we all actually are. So, for this purpose, he is living, and that is his teachership. That is the third chapter that we started studying from last Tuesday, Sri Ramakrishna as a Guru. And we saw last time that there are obviously many questions and doubts that come. How can this humble of the humblest person be a teacher? He never thought of himself as a teacher. We saw Sri Ramakrishna, many people, when this book was being written, there were obviously, you can imagine, so many people were alive who had seen Sri Ramakrishna, and thus the author is aware that people would say that we have seen Sri Ramakrishna. He was a very nice man, very devoted and very humble. He had no such idea as being a guru. And why do you want to spoil the name of a good person by heaping all these epithets and adjectives on Sri Ramakrishna? He was a great devotee, but he never assumed the role of a guru. We have never seen him giving lectures or calling somebody and giving some advice as such. Yes, that may be true. Saradananda Swamiji, the author, says that may be true. We don't dispute that. But he lived on these two very distinct planes. One is human, another is divine. And thus, when he would connect to that divine state, now he is the Guru. The Guru, what is the Guru? The one who sees the obstacles on our path to progress and can therefore take it out so that our path will become free from impediments and we shall progress. Now, that capability Sri Ramakrishna had when associated with that mode. He could see everybody from inside. and thus was able to actually guide everybody. That was a very special power that comes to a person who can live with that awareness of being the supreme, divine, all-pervading self, and at the same time be aware of the human limitations and bondages. So this is a very rare thing. And so, as Swami Saradananda, we just read that part last time, that he says, it is page 443, because we have witnessed that, we now attempt to show the reader, according to our understanding, how those two can coexist in one mind. The two things, being human and being divine, how the two can coexist, how being a very humble person and being Guru, how both can coexist. But despite our efforts, we are not sure whether we are capable of explaining what little we have grasped. It is beyond the capability of the author to make this understood, and beyond the reader to understand it. It is, we may argue. Why are we not? Do you think we are dumbs? We are very intelligent people. We have studied philosophy, we have studied science, we have studied different other streams, and we are brilliant people. It is, yes, very intelligent. And you think we are not able to understand? What do you think? Don't insult us like this, that we are not capable of understanding. Why? Well, that may be true. We are very capable and very intelligent people at one level. But that does not help to penetrate into the depths of this particular topic or wisdom. It is somebody may be, very skilled with the, vision, eyesight, very subtle, small objects also can be seen. But if that person is deaf, will not be able to understand the intricacies of music and so forth. So therefore will not be able to enjoy music just because vision is very good. Similarly, our intellect is very good in many worldly matters, where we are attached to this body, identified with this body, and then look at the world, and then there we are very brilliant. And we can understand stocks going up and down. Still we get fooled, that is a different thing, but it is, making some other decisions. We think we know so many things. We understand the astronomy, how the stars move, what propels them, and we can calculate exactly how, at what place that star will be on this particular day in 2051. We can calculate that. It is, but in spite of that, when it comes to these matters which require transcendence of our identification with body, and we have no skills there. And therefore, Swami Saradananda confesses that it is beyond the author to explain, and it is impossible for the reader, beyond the reader to understand it, because the master remained in Bhavamukha. When master remained in Bhavamukha, there was no limit to his spiritual moods. The master used to say, God is limitless. Similarly, we have witnessed that the spiritual moods of this extraordinary person were also without limit. Yes, there have been places in this very book where many examples of this have been given, and also one can find the narrations of such Sri Ramakrishna getting into various moods in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So, one can see the infinitely many moods. It is just to give an example, just to let us try to feel and understand it. Suppose a person, at the personal level, we have, all of us have witnessed our own various moods. Like Paul, who is calm, quiet, that is one mood. But there may be some mood when he is actively running for something, to get something accomplished, something done, and then that is a different mood. Maybe he got irritated and angry. Do you ever become irritated? Okay, so yeah. So when one becomes irritated, it is a different mood. One person, I tell that incident, it is some simple thing changes the mood, you see. That it is, I was talking to one volunteer, it happened many years back, but it is such an illustrative incident that I keep on referring to it. That at the breakfast, I tried to talk to her, asked some simple question, and she was saying, no, 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 no. That is very irritating. Very irritated and very irritating. And then after about 15 minutes, she was speaking very nicely, very amicably, very well. And then she herself explained, I didn't have my coffee. I mean, I was just halfway through my first cup. So naturally, I was like that. So mood, only a little coffee can change the moods. Somebody had kept a coffee cup. I sometimes use it here. It has a nice saying on the top. The morning has broken. Coffee can fix it. So, what I mean is, even such little things, we can say so many different moods that a person gets into. It is, but imagine, even our own so many different moods, we are at different planes, kind of become different person when we are overtaken by compassion. We are in one mood. When we are overtaken by anger, we are in different mood. When there is upsurge of lust, we become a different person. All these, so many different moods, even as a person attached or identified with body, one body, we experience. Now imagine we can get into the body of some bacteria in the room, now how many different moods can we experience with that body of bacteria? The bacterial emotions, whatever it may mean, it is, we don't know. Getting into the body of a cat, Now, those cat lovers, they have different ideas about cats, that my cat is feeling sad but they are the human, they don't become identified with the cat body, they don't know cat moods, they imagine that the cat must be feeling like this. It is, we do not have the capability of transcending the body and becoming identified with another body, another person. Our identification with this heap of flesh and blood is terrible, and therefore to be able to identify with another person is also not possible for us. It is, there is no route available for us for that, because we are confined to the body. But the one who is free can get identified with any body depending on whatever is needed, whatever is wanted, can become identified with, say, sun, a huge body. Sun is also a body. It is a huge shining mass. Yeah, one can become identified with sun. Now imagine the mood that there would be with that. There would be moods if somebody is identified with an electron, that will be a different mood. Somebody getting identified, as I said, with a mouse and being chased by a cat, imagine, the moods of that mouse will be different. So it is so many different moods. So Sri Ramakrishna was the emperor, a sovereign emperor of this whole empire of moods, all moods. That is what Saradananda Swamiji has mentioned at one place in this book, that he was the emperor with the total control of this empire of moods, can get into any mood without getting tied to it. That is where he had his freedom, getting into the mood and getting out of the mood. So, usually people hear that the master dwelt in Bhavamukha, immediately they conclude that he was not a jnani, a follower of the path of knowledge. They believe that he always lived in a state of devotion and experienced happiness when united with God and pain when separated from God. But we shall understand this subject if we can properly grasp what it is to remain in Bhavamukha and the conditions that make this possible. Although the topic of Bhavamukha has been discussed in great details earlier, still again he brings it back to connect it to Sri Ramakrishna's teachership, that where from that teachership was emanating. We have to see that, and so he will again come to this topic of Bhavamukha, because people get a wrong notion. Not only then, even now I have seen people thinking of Sri Ramakrishna that he was not a man of knowledge. He was a great devotee, I understand, but he lacked knowledge. Swami Vivekananda, yes, he was man of knowledge. He didn't have much emotions and devotion and all that. He was man of knowledge. Sri Ramakrishna, a man of devotion. But this is a very erroneous superficial understanding that somehow people seem to harbor. Actually, as Swami Vivekananda himself says, that Sri Ramakrishna from outside was all bhakti, from inside all knowledge. And I am from outside all knowledge, but inside all bhakti. So that is how it is. Both have the apparently there were differences, but Sri Ramakrishna was full of knowledge, like Swami Vivekananda in one of the beautiful hymns he has composed on Sri Ramakrishna says that Advaya Tattva Samahita Chettam Projvala Bhakti Patavrita Vrittam, that there was this non-dual knowledge in Sri Ramakrishna's heart. Heart was filled with that knowledge. His whole mind was established in that knowledge of non-duality and was covered, like the body is covered with clothing. He had the clothing of bhakti, devotion on this. So, a person of that type, so he was in bhava mukha, and he had that before getting into that bhava mukha through the command of Divine Mother. He had the experience of what is called nirvikalpa samadhi with just 3 days of practice, maximum 3 days, because it was only after 3 days that his guru Totapuri went to look at him and found him in samadhi. So it might have happened maybe instantaneously, who knows? Yeah, more likely that it happened instantaneously. So it is that samadhi means one. It is impossible, of course, to explain much about it, but just think of no limits to one's awareness. The mind is dissolved. It is the infinite ocean. It is not something dead, not zero, not emptiness. It is the infinite awareness of the all-pervading conscious existence, Chit as it is called in Sanskrit, Chit. That Chit was manifest there without any limitations. So, unlimited consciousness. So, one gets merged into that, all the divisions of names and forms just disappear. It is surely impossible for us to even imagine this state. So Sri Ramakrishna was in this state. Now Swami Saradananda has used the technique of question answers to get to the depth of this subject, that what is meant by bhava mukha. And the question begins like this: what is nirvikalpa samadhi? Answer: to bring the mind to a state where there are absolutely no desires or doubts. Sankalpa vikalpa. No desires, no doubts. It is absolutely, absolutely no desire and no doubt. Thus it is no perception of multiplicity. It is perception of multiplicity means doubt. It is where from this came, how it came, how is it going to affect me, whether I like it or I don't like it. All these, this is called sankalpa vikalpa. The desires and doubts. That is what our mind is captured by. But in that samadhi, this is absent. So, then the next question, what do you mean by desires and doubts? Answer, these include all of the mind's thought waves, such as the knowledge of sense objects in the external world, the experiences of happiness and misery, imagination, discrimination, inference, and other mental acts, and various desires, such as I shall do this, I shall understand that, I shall enjoy this, I shall renounce that, and so on. All this is called sankalpa. And the doubts that arise with that, whether is it good to do it, whether I will be able to do it or not, whether this is better or that is better, all these things come with it. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all these oscillations of mind are gone. And that makes the time and space vanish, multiplicity vanish. Patanjali describes that all this world that we see, it is just the mind, it is just waving, it is oscillating, it is, and thus we see the multiplicity. So that's about it. There is no multiplicity when the mind is still and stable. So, then the another next question. What supports the rising thought waves? Where from do these waves rise? What supports? Answer, the awareness of I. If this I consciousness disappears or is interrupted for a time, no thought wave can affect or control the mind at that time. Buddha has dealt about this, and therefore when he says no self, what that is, what is meant by self, there is this ego, this I, separate from the world. That I is the source, the matrix from which all these different waves, as it were, spring up. So this is the next question. This I consciousness does not exist when one faints or falls into a deep sleep. Is Nirvikalpa Samadhi then something like that? Many have this very erroneous idea and really difficult to root it out. That is why, what is the difference between sleep and Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Or if somebody gets an epileptic attack and then loses the awareness, is it Samadhi? And then one can get it by use of some of those weeds and such stuff, you see. That, and so what is the difference between that and Samadhi? It is in sleep also you are not aware of the I consciousness, you are not aware. It is all it becomes same in sleep, you see. In the sleep, Vishwanath is same as Yogatmananda. It is, So, because Yogatmananda is not aware of being Yogatmananda, Vishwanath is not aware of being Vishwanath. So therefore don't go to sleep, otherwise you may be identical with me, So it is. Uh, so, so what is the difference? We lose the sense of I in sleep also, or in when we fall unconscious. It is when one faints. So what is the difference? The answer is no. This I consciousness remains within during fainting and deep sleep, but the instrument called the brain through which the mind manifests I consciousness becomes inert or functionless for some time. This is the big difference in the light of our understanding of modern computer information technology. One can understand this, that the software is there, the program, the information is there. Nothing has changed in the information. Only the hardware that was manifesting it is not there anymore. That has been affected. You were seeing it on the screen of your computer, on the monitor you were seeing it, and the monitor got fused. The tube is no longer there. So you can't see it anymore. That is not the program is still intact. When the monitor comes up, it happened once that I was starting something on the computer, some work, and nothing was coming up. I thought, gone, everything is gone, it is all black. And then it wasn't black or anything. This switch for the monitor was not on. Normally I never put it off, but somebody had used it and had turned it off. So that was the only problem. So that is how it happens that the brain is not connected, and therefore that manifestation of I consciousness is not there. When the instrument is connected, it again comes. Then yes, Vishwanath is aware, oh okay, yes, this is now early morning, and yes, today I have to do these things, and today the weather is good, it is sunny, and then in the evening I have to attend that class, and before that I have to do this shopping, and so forth. So all that, because now the brain is connected, all the sense organs are connected, it is now plugged in, or switch is put on, and now it all manifests. So it is like that. In the that part of that instrument through which it is manifesting is not working. Like suppose the bulb lighting this goes bad. Now that instrument, that tube or bulb is defective, it has become bad. The electricity is there, no problem. You don't have to call the national grid that there is no power supply. There is power supply, but the instrument through which it was to manifest, that instrument has gone bad. So similarly in deep sleep, this instrument called brain is disconnected. It is just to give it rest, you say. There is a lot of theories about sleep, very nice. Why do we sleep? Lot of experimental work has been done. I don't want to get into the details, but very interesting. And so the brain is taking rest. It is not now connected to the sensory inputs. They are all under wrap now. So therefore, that is what is happening in sleep, or in that somebody faints. They and therefore, when that is put right, the person is just as it was. So therefore, some say that the difference is like this. When in the deep sleep, when the person awakes from the deep sleep, the person awakes as the same old fool. It is nothing different from that. But when that person gets into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, comes out as a person of wisdom. That is the difference, that the whole now awareness has changed completely, and there is no I and you separate. It is all just one self everywhere. This is just words, but that is how this perception is akin to. The master used to say, pigeons eat dried peas and keep them in their crops. And then they coo through their inflated throats. You may think that the pigeon's throat is empty, but if you touch it, you can feel those peas rattling around there. See the observation. We were talking about the Sri Ramakrishna's observation power last Sunday. Look at this observation. I don't know if any of you have the experience of touching the pigeon's throat. I have never had. But yes, that is Sri Ramakrishna certainly has done that, and so knows that it is there, although not, it appears that there is nothing there, but actually all is kept there. So, question: how shall I know that the I consciousness remains that way when one has fainted or is in deep sleep? You can know by observing the results. For example, when one has fainted or is in deep sleep, the heartbeat, pulse, circulation, and so on do not pause. The performance of all these physical functions depends on I consciousness. Moreover, although the external signs of fainting or deep sleep are somewhat similar to those of samadhi, when a person returns to the ordinary waking state, that person's knowledge and joyfulness remain the same as they were before. They neither increase nor decrease. Lust of the lustful remains the same, as does the anger of the angry, the greed of the greedy, and so on. But when people attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi, those worldly thoughts can no longer raise their heads. Such people achieve extraordinary knowledge and infinite bliss, because they have had the direct experience of God. They no longer doubt that there is a hereafter or that God exists. That is how a complete transformation of awareness takes place when that samadhi happens. It is a changeover complete of the inner awareness. In sleep, it doesn't happen. In epileptic attack, that doesn't happen. something akin to that has happened, not in sleep or in waking state, or in the epileptic attacks, but in some near death experiences that have been recorded. You can see that the person has internally changed. These are the experiences where a person was declared dead. But from all clinical tests, the person was dead. And for no reason that medical science knows, the person again became alive. And now that person's life changed, their consciousness changed, and many of them have narrated their experience that what was happening at that time, and they were out of the body and so forth. There are very nice books related to that. One is, I think, Raymond Moody or some, they uh, that life after life. That's a very nice collection. There are two books by him, Life After Life, Life After Light After Life. So, and there are after that many others have done a lot of clinical studies on these near-death experiences, and it is now there is a critical mass of data to draw conclusions from. So it is very interesting that there is, when what it shows, not that they have become people of complete total knowledge and all that, but when you get dissociated from this body, now you get really different experience, and that stays with you even after when you enter this body. There was a philosopher, I have narrated that from about his life. He was a kind of atheist philosopher, had doubts. What is it called, that philosophy where you doubt, not skeptic, huh? Agnosticism, yeah. Yeah. So, he was an American philosopher, and then he underwent that experience and lived many years after that. And his whole writings after that changed completely. It was a stunning change that came to his understanding and outlook towards the world after that experience. So this is just to show that when we are kind of removed from this body, and then get the other experience outside it, the limitations are gone now. Imagine, it doesn't go away in sleep, remember. It is there when the body is now, just you see the body lying like that, and people that they were talking about it, you do not now identify with it. You don't think that they are talking exactly about you. Well, good, the fellow died and all that, it is. But somehow you buy that body again, get into it, and now your awareness has changed, your understanding has changed. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it is completely changed. The idea that I am body is completely gone. I am mind, that is completely gone. And that it is the I is only associated with Brahman. As we read it in our Shvetashvatar Upanishad class the other day, Yadatma Tattvena tu Brahma Tattvam. By referring to I, now this person does not identify with some bones and blood and this is I. No, and with the all-pervading, blissful, conscious reality, the Brahman. By this word I, now that is that gets identified. Exactly. So, this is how the Nirvikalpa Samadhi transforms the ignorance into knowledge. Then the question is, okay, all right, this questioner seems to be getting a bit tired. All right. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the master's I consciousness dissolved for some time. What happened next? Answer. After his I consciousness dissolved, he had the vision of the divine for a short time, but not satisfied with that, he tried to remain in that state constantly. He tried to remain in that state constantly. That is how, it is such a blissful state that you don't want to come out of it. When you feel lot of happiness, like when the little children are playing, when they are called, hey, come for now it is time for lunch, come. They just 1 minute. Oh, they just okay. They don't want to come, and even when they come, their mind is not in eating. It is still in that play. So, and it is like that. That because there was so much happiness there, uncomparable. And therefore they don't want to come in this world of misery at all. Imagine, you see, that infinite bliss. From there, who wants to come? It is not possible for anybody wanting to come. It is only out of compassion that incarnation of God again comes on our plane. It is. Otherwise, why would that? It is such a tremendous happiness. Doesn't want to come. He gave the examples. Sri Ramakrishna himself gave the example of the three people walking on a street along a wall, and they heard all lot of happiness is something happy event going on the other side. A lot of joy is there. Everybody seems to be delightfully singing and dancing and all that. And one of them said that, okay, I will climb on the wall and peep what is inside and then let you know. And this fellow with great effort climbs and sees beyond the wall, and without bothering to come and tell the others, because it was such an overwhelming experience, he forgot everything and jumped in on the other side of the wall. The others only heard, ha ha! The second fellow said, okay, I'll try. They met the same fate. And the third person climbed and also felt the same urge. But then this awareness, who will then give the news of such a place to others? All people are suffering. They are not aware of this place of joy. So let me climb down. And that is one way of understanding the incarnation. So Sri Ramakrishna did not want to come back to this world of quarrels and fights and jealousies and all that. How yesterday somebody was talking to me, and then that person was saying how I sometimes see these people, they go to the Vedanta center, they read about Sri Ramakrishna and they are there every now and then, and yet there that selfishness and jealousies and all that about that covetousness doesn't go away. Why? They are such people. Uh, now we all only see that from in others, you know. It is, if we stand in front of mirror, we won't be different. It is, but about others we see that I am so good. They are jealous and all this, because this is the world full of all that. It is, therefore, who wants to come back here where there is no happiness, there is all the squabbles and rat race after little crumbs of enjoyment around here? Who wants to come back here? So he did not want to come. That it is at that time he would see the Divine Mother through a thin veil. It is okay, we shall, there is another question about it, and since today's time is over, we shall try to see that next time, next Tuesday, by His grace. We will meditate for 30 seconds, and if you feel like asking a question, feel free. Yes, please. Yes, Charlie.
I've read accounts of people talking to the direct disciples and saying, nothing is changing in my life. So how is Sri Ramakrishna, you said a teacher removes obstacles. How is he continuing to remove obstacles?
He is continuing to remove the obstacles, and see, we do complain about it, and yet what is happening is that the obstacles are removed, but the new obstacle is there on the path. That work has to continue. So therefore, we have to keep on holding on to Sri Ramakrishna, because till the journey is over, there will be obstacles coming in. So it is true, we do feel that why the obstacles have not all vanished at one go. Well, you can think of it, one will get into nirvikalpa samadhi, and then at one go you can think of that all the obstacles have vanished. It is the obstacles, till we realize the goal, there will be this obstacle or that obstacle. So this process continues. Yes, please.
So here it says that all these bodily activities like rushing of the blood, etc., also comes from the eye consciousness.
It is, although this eye consciousness is the basis of that, But remember, this doesn't mean that they are in the medical sense conscious activities. You do not deliberately do it. In fact, you cannot, most of us do not have, except yogis, nobody has the freedom to control these things consciously. We don't have any conscious control on those things. But the awareness of I is the support even of all these activities which keep on happening automatically. It's a very good question, that it is on the regular conscious plane we are even not aware that those activities are going on. Who is aware at what speed the blood is flowing in the body right now? We are not. Oh, let me increase the speed of it. We are not aware, cannot do that. Oh, the process of digestion, where it has come now. And we cannot tell that it is, and cannot change, manipulate it. There is no control that we can exercise. Oh, I ate lot of sugar just now. Let me accelerate my pancreas and produce more insulin. You cannot do that, you see. It is, but that is the bodily consciousness that is not present there, and it is not at work. But when we go to sleep, that loss of I consciousness is again of that similar type. Just as these, you are conscious of I and you are not conscious of I, the bodily functions still go on, because that this I, the self, is still there, and that is making this going on. It is like you have that, battery put in the clock down there. So it when the power is gone, now there is no glow. The clock will not glow, but it will still keep on running. It is, once I asked somebody the question, I had switched off my phone, but still how the battery got consumed. And that fellow who had more knowledge said, "Oh, you switched it off, but it did not switch off all the functions. That is why when you put it on, again the clock comes up, you switched it off at say 1 o'clock and you switched it on after 5 hours. So it shows 6 o'clock. So the work was going on. So in sleep that continues. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi that also stops. And therefore a doctor examined Sri Ramakrishna, that is a dead person, not alive, and check the pulse and all that, and put finger in the eyes, because there you can see the awareness, and put the finger in the eye to see whether the fellow is, and there was no sign of any awareness. So that is, therefore they are different things. Our blood circulation will stop if there is no really I consciousness. So when the phone really goes dead, then you will see that it will not, even if you put it on, it will not show the new time. It is like that. So this is a big difference between Nirvikalpa Samadhi and sleep and such things, because the physical activities, they run only on the basis of I. And in fact this is a big difference between the understanding of death in the Vedanta or Sankhya psychology and the understanding of death at the usual medical physiology and all that. It is for the medical science, really there is no exact determinant when a person should be called dead. Lot of this thing arguments go about it, that if the person's heart stops, should that person be called dead? No, you can revive the heart, the person can become alive then. It is, and then it is said that in now the times coming up, nobody will be really dead in that sense, because all parts will be replaceable, like that flip-flop slippers that a person is using for 20 years, it's the same slippers. Every once in a while the fellow was changing the sole and sometimes the straps. So both got changed many times, but the same slippers I am using. So all the parts of the body could be changed. You can buy new parts at the body shop, you see. Like you do buy the auto shops, you see. This is not functioning, the liver is not functioning, buy another one, a pound of liver, and attach it there. It is because of the stem cell research and all, these are not now distant dreams. They are quite possible in some time, little time ahead, and you can see that there is already the replacement hearts, surgeries can be done. Then you can have, you can shop around which heart do you want and so forth. There is no such experiment so far about brain, but who knows, afterwards, okay, why keep on doing these surgeries, neurosurgeries are very tricky, and just plug this brain out, put another one. That is what they do these days. They do not want to just put a new valve, new washer in a faucet. Just change the faucet, get another one for a couple of dollars, put it in. So that is how, why keep on doing surgeries on the brain, get a new brain, plug it in, and that's it, you see. So, but that is where all this can happen. But the I awareness is not a product. It is according to the Sankhya philosophy or Vedanta philosophy, that when this I awareness gets dissociated with that body, we call it death. It is no longer you, like you sell a car. Now it is no longer yours. So you have given up the body, the connection, the connector that joins the gross body to the subtle body, that connector is gone. So you do not have now any connection. And that is when you say, according to Vedanta, that the person has died. And therefore the death can occur even though the body is as such very good. And it is not that there was any disease or anything, the person just died. and then the coroner has to give a certificate, so has to find out something, that died of heart attack. It is simple, So it is, or some such thing. So it is, the body is just given up, and to take another body, that's all. Like you sell the car when the car is in a way in a good condition, but you want another one. So you sell this working very good car so that you want to get another one. So another body that you want, so you dissociate with this body. That is the death according to Vedanta. And samadhi is when you dissociate with the subtle body also. When you dissociate with gross body, it is death. But then you go and take another body. And then when you disconnect yourself with even this subtle body, then that is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It is so. It is very interesting, So let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace.